You just have a moment of silence for the passing of Senator McCain, which are flags I hope in town are all at half-mast.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First thing on the agenda is a public hearing on the property maintenance violation at 90 Firefighters Memorial Drive. The owner of the property has been sent notice. Code of the Highlands, Code of the Town of Highlands Property Maintenance Code says that all landscaping shall be maintained so as lawns, hedges, bushes, and trees shall be kept neatly and free from becoming overgrown and unsightly where exposed to public view, and where the same may constitute a blighting factor having a tendency to depreciate adjoining properties. Such maintenance should include but be not limited to the replacement of trees, shrubs, which may die or be destroyed. The conditions observed at this property was high grass and weeds. The action required, they were asked to cut the weeds within 10 days. They have not done so. Is there anyone here representing 90 Firefighters Memorial Drive? And I failed to say that I'm opening a public hearing, so at the same time, I ask that we close the public hearing. Do I have a vote?
Motion.
Close the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. A little later in the, on the agenda, we will take care of a resolution. Before we go any further, I asked our engineer for the Fort Montgomery's, what do we call it, wastewater treatment plant? That's the proper terminology, to stop by and give the town board an update. Justin, Al, I, EFC representative Harry
Nelson.
And I think there was one other engineer on there from EFC, but
There was one from
was
my office, one of
your
my
office,
subcontractors
okay.
were there.
so Al Fusco, would you
Sure.
please give the board an update on that project?
Sure, absolutely. What we have done is, we had submitted a full set of drawings and specifications to them. They had responded with some changes they would like us to look at, and we went over that between Justin, the supervisor, myself, another member of my staff, a subcontractor from Linstar, who is the minority subcontractor, actually women business subcontractor for the project, and they're doing the electrical part of it. The sum and substance of it is that we had taken quite a bit of the funds we had gotten allocated for this to put towards improvements to the clarifiers, the bridges, and some areas that the program wasn't necessarily made for, but were necessary to run the system. Basically, this was a disaster relief funding based on Hurricane Sandy. The sludge drying beds were damaged. A little bit of the site was damaged. We had indicated that some of the pumps were damaged. In addition to that, we said some of the clarifiers were damaged. And since your clarifiers were in such poor shape, we committed a great deal of money towards that. And we were trying to save money on some of the other areas. such as one of the things, probably the biggest item that we had reviewed, was the electrical system had been partially underwater. So when we saw that, we looked at raising it, and because of the height of the wall in the building, we could only raise it 2 feet 8 inches without raising the roof or doing other dramatic methods of protecting it. Now, under normal circumstances, that would have been sufficient because flood zones generally are the height of the storm plus 2 feet. However, because Hurricane Sandy was a supernatural storm, so to speak, they indicated that they wanted everything 4 feet higher. And that meant we have to raise the roof of the building, change, put protection around it, possibly put a retaining wall all the way around it, things of that nature. We looked at the possibility of doing those items, and they were quite expensive. So we actually were there a week ago, or last Tuesday and last Friday, and I also have one of our engineers from GHD going there Wednesday to relook at this, and we're looking to try to seal up the electrical room as much as possible. We'll still bring it up 2 feet 8 inches, but we're going to try to seal that building with waterproof doors, floodgates, things of that nature. We think that might be the most economical. Now, on the pumping end, we had looked at protecting it by putting in waterproof doors on the 2 pump ends, but they are suggesting submersible pumps, which are quite a bit more expensive, but I believe we can still make it in the budget. We're going to look at that again Wednesday. I'm sorry, GHD is going there on Wednesday. So we're looking to do all of that. They brought up some other items also, is that because now instead of the sludge greenhouse, we're going to have a sludge press. They thought that that might be an odor issue. We don't believe it is. They asked the supervisor and Justin if we had had any complaints on odors from the plant before, and there had been none. So they were quite satisfied with that answer. Another answer is one of the things that they asked for was on the, we have bubblers because, air helps purify, the sewage, and we have bubblers there. And they were looking for a more economical one. When I say that, more economical to run, but not more economical to purchase. So we're discussing that further with them. We were going to replace it in kind because that way we don't have any retrofit if we replace what was there. So I think they're, all in all, they were very reasonable in their requests. A couple other things which obviously we knew we had to do, but they said it, is we have to give new labor rates, things of that nature. They change almost monthly. So when we put the bid back out, we'll probably do it 2 times during the bid. So that's basically where we are. We're anticipating, to get everything back to them. We made all the changes we could in the paperwork. We're doing a redesign now, trying to secure that one room as much as possible. And I believe that we're going to try to get it back to them in the next 2 weeks or so, maybe quicker if we can. So that's where we are on the sewage treatment plant EFC project. I can continue with the DEC if you wish.
Yes, please.
Okay. Now, in addition to that, last, I think it was January or so, the town had received a notice from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. This is after they had done an inspection. Excuse me. So they had written up, half a dozen things. And we had reviewed it. The supervisor had given it to me. There were, 4 or 5 things that Bob Held could do himself, within the nature of his daily operations, which he had done. There was another item that basically said that we were going to do the bridges on the clarifier as part of the bigger project that I just outlined. And so they were satisfied with that letter. But there was another portion of it that said that they wanted us to look at the disinfection, the chlorination, the disinfection system, and to reduce the amount of chlorine that was leaving the plant effluent. And they wanted it to be 0.25 milligrams per liter, and they wanted the dissolved oxygen, which is a function of that, to be 2.0. That's the amount of oxygen that is in the water. The more oxygen, the healthier it is for the, fish and wildlife and, whatever. So we had talked about it briefly at that time, and I had made a recommendation at that time that we include that in our EFC grant/loan. It meant we would have increased the loan portion of it, but it's a subsidized loan, and it would be, something like an additional $1 a day if you actually calculated it out. So it wouldn't be a burden on the users. However, the chief operator felt that he could manipulate the system by adjusting dechlorination, using dechlorination tablets, and do it in-house, so to speak. And he felt confident he could do that, and he performed it, and it actually looked like it performed to some extent. However, the DEC was adamant in a recent letter that they wanted an engineering report, verifying what we were going to do to produce this. So I had called them up after the supervisor had spoken to me, and the gentleman who had done the inspection and was there. I spoke to him at some length, and I told him what was being done in the internal process to try to meet the accommodations that they requested. And he had indicated that it had to be put in an engineering report, and I said, fine, we would do that. So we went down and we met with the chief operator, and we made some suggestions on how he could change that, and we were preparing to do the report, and we got another call back from them indicating that they did not feel that that was acceptable, and they wanted us to go down to White Plains on, I believe it was September 4th, something like that, with a representative of the government and myself. I'm going to take another engineer as well, and we're going to go down and talk to them. They also indicated to us that they wanted us to stop the internal process that we were working on to dechlorinate, and they wanted us to stop that immediately. In other words, they're not buying the internal situation. They want an engineering report and plans and specifications to upgrade the disinfection of the plant. Now, towards that end, we have two ways we could go. That is chlorination and dechlorination with an upgraded system, or we could look at ultraviolet. Ultraviolet light is a little more expensive to install. There's a little more maintenance to it, but you don't have the danger of chlorine, and it's a very reliable system, and it's very ecologically pleasing. So those are basically the two alternatives, and they want a report, an engineering report, which we can provide. That's one of the other reasons that we're going back down on Wednesday to look at where we can put this material and how we're going to accommodate it. We did ask when we were with the EFC if we could put it into the loan program, which they had previously said we could when I asked them in February, but we had decided to do internal system instead. And they're not opposed to it, but they feel that that could delay the bigger project. So they want us to go forward with the bigger project, and then we could look at possibly adding this on later. If not, then it would be a local burden on the town to proceed. The cost would be the same. It would be better if we could include it in the loan program, because the loan program is subsidized by at least 30% on something new coming forth. So that's basically where we are. After tomorrow, I'll be able to put a dollar value on the cost of the engineering to do the report for the better disinfection system, and also an estimate on the cost, once we decide where we can put it and how we're going to proceed. So we should know that probably within a week. Before we go to the meeting, we should know. So that's basically my report. Any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Well, Al, one concern I have, and I'm sure you're aware of it, I have an email from Harry Nelson, EFC. It's a year old, the email, but nonetheless, he's asking for your plans and specs and whatever have you. But what bothers me, note that SMLP funding agreement construction needs to be complete by early summer 2019. So we need you to get moving on
Yes, I agree 100%.
everything in it, because, I mean, I'm just afraid we're going to lose
Yeah.
the
yeah,
funding, or if not all of it.
I would say that we're, within 2-3 weeks, they're going to have everything they need. They'll review it, and we could probably be out to bid in October. Very good chance of being out to bid in October, and I see no problem with meeting those dates. And those dates could also be extended, too. Those dates were dates that we provided to them, so I know we could extend those out if we needed to.
They're not dates that are set by the people funding?
Not really. They were set by us that we had,
Take that with you, Al.
Yeah.
That's
this-
the latest
I
letter
have
I
a
got.
copy of this.
I just got it today, so I don't
Yeah.
know. Oh, you
Well, I
maybe
was
sent it.
copied on it.
All right,
I
okay.
was copied on it.
Okay,
So you can keep it.
all right.
I'm sorry.
I got it.
Those dates were, originally, we had set it for September 2018, but we had delays as we went through because we had designed it for replacing the sludge drying beds, and then we switched over to a different system. So they said, when can you have it done? And we said September 2019. As long as we get out to bid in a timely manner, they'll absolutely work with us.
Well, I hope they do, because I guess it's up to them whether they have to do it or not. And the whole process has taken a bit of time.
Yes, it has. I agree with you.
And the proposal you're making for preventing water flowing into the building,
Right?
is that, they have not approved that yet? That's what you're proposing and that they'll review?
Those are two different things. Now say that again. Maybe I
No,
misunderstood.
yeah.
Pumps. the
She's
pump-
talking about the waterproofing, Al,
Yeah, the waterproofing.
Oh,
of the
the
electrical room.
Waterproofing,
I
yeah.
did speak to Harry over the phone. They would approve that, yes. They would approve that, yes. I'm sorry, I don't hear all that well.
Okay.
But no, they would approve the waterproofing, yes. In fact, they suggested, either waterproofing or raise everything up. Now, I omitted one thing also. We probably have to raise up the generator a little bit as well. It's not a difficult job. It's just bolted into some concrete. Either that or we put a little concrete barrier around that. But we do have to do something with the emergency generator also.
So you talked about dechlorination versus ultraviolet light.
Correct.
So what are the health benefits or risks for one versus the other?
Well, ultraviolet, there really are no risks because everything is in an enclosed, it's sort of like an enclosed MRI kind of thing, where it's a round tube that's sealed on either end, and there's ultraviolet light tubes that go through that, and the water is shoved through that, and it disinfects it when it's going through. So it kills the bacteria, all right, and it adds nothing into the water. So
Okay.
there's really no environmental effects. Now, they have to be taken out and cleaned with citric acid on a regular basis, and that's something that is a maintenance issue. But again, a lot of times what happens is they're taken out, new ones are put in, then you clean those, and the clean ones are ready for the next cycle, all right? Chlorination and dechlorination, you're chlorinating right now. You have a room down there about this big now that has hypochlorite, chlorine in it. They have, probably about 12 containers, 55-gallon drums of chlorine in there. Now, chlorine is very toxic. It's in a sealed room. If there is a spill, it's got a fan in there that takes it off the floor and puts it out into the atmosphere, for the safety of any operators that may be in there at the time of the spill. Now, you are not using chlorine gas right now. You're using a liquid chlorine, which is probably safer than the gas. Because the gas, if you have a leak, it could, escape and blow around the area. But now, the chlorine, when the chlorine residual is used to disinfect the bacteria in the water, it probably is about 2 milligrams per liter. Now, if you don't dechlorinate, that 2 milligrams per liter goes into the outfall, which goes into the Hudson River, which now you're putting some chlorine in it. Now, it doesn't impact the Hudson River as much as it would a smaller stream because it's a bigger body of water, but it does add to it when you have a lot of other systems doing the same. So now there is another method to dechlorinate, all right, where you're able to remove the chlorine, all right, but you need time to do all of this. You have to have reaction time for one, the chlorine to react with the bacteria. So that's sometime you have to hold the water back. Then you have to hold it back again to dechlorinate once it's disinfected. So you have to have some storage. You have to have some additional storage. So we would have to build probably another tank, one to chlorinate and one to dechlorinate. So that would, those are the two different systems.
And you're going to talk to us later about the cost for one versus the other?
We're gonna give you that cost later. Yep, I'll probably
They
give
were
it to you.
unhappy with our dechlorination number? Is that what was going on?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. That's
Because
correct.
I know, I'm sure you know, chlorine going in an effluent sewer plant has contributed to trihalomethanes, which are found to be carcinogenic, so they make a big deal out of that. When they use ultraviolet, there's no residual. It's just hitting it with the ultraviolet light. There's nothing left in the water as it leaves.
Exactly. If I were to make a recommendation to you, I would say I would go with the UV. We're designing one now for the Village of Florida. They have the same issue. However, their permit, they have to hire an engineer by 2020, which I'm their engineer, so they've already done that. They have to have plans in by 2021, and they have to have the system in by 2023. They're not giving you that time period. Yeah.
The thing is with ultraviolet, that plant is operated by 2 part-time employees. We're slowly moving to where it's going to require more than that. Because even the sludge that we're going to be doing, there's going to be more sludge being produced when this is done. Am I correct on that?
Well,
It'll be better sludge, but it's going to be more of it.
there will be. Yes, there will be more sludge. Yes, there will be more sludge. You're correct. But, one of the things is that you may be required to do some additional hours for them. The sludge handling time would be reduced, so one might offset the other a little bit. But, I think that, the ultraviolet, the biggest thing are cleaning the tubes with the citric acid. I believe when I was down there the other day, they were cleaning something, one of the controls with citric acid. It's a common technique, and they're familiar with it.
I'll be going down with you on
Good.
September the 4th.
Excellent.
And we need to turn this into a number. I spent all day working on the sewer budget with Bob Held. Like,
Okay.
if this is something we have to do now, we're gonna have to have a number worked up to be able to figure which way we're going with it.
All right, we're going to get that number to you very quickly. Like I said, Wednesday is probably our gathering day. We'll put something together and we'll get that number very quickly.
Okay.
Anybody else, questions? Thank you very
All
much.
right,
Al.
thank you for the opportunity. You take care and try to keep cool tomorrow.
Thanks, Al.
Thank you.
All right, is there any public comment on the agenda?
Hi,
Good
everybody. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Andrea Matthews, and I just wanted to make an announcement regarding the 57th Annual Buffalo Soldiers event that will be held on September 2nd. As you know, Cora Lee Matthews, the widow of Sergeant Sanders Matthews, will be turning 100 years old. So I just wanted to let everybody know. And that we will be having an event on the 2nd, a wreath laying at 12 noon, and a banquet at 2 p.m. at Eisenhower Hall. And the wreath laying will be at the Buffalo Soldier Field. So I just wanted to let everybody know and kind of, and then I was asking, I would like to ask a question. So does the town do anything to recognize residents who make 100?
Like a proclamation or anything?
No, we haven't, no.
Okay, hint, hint. So it would be interesting because she's been living in this area for 76 years. So I was just wanted to look at that and see if that's a possibility, and would need to know if you all are going to do such a thing. Other than that, that's about it. Tickets can be bought for those that are listening in town. Tickets can be bought on the Buffalo Soldiers of Westpoint.org website.
Thank you.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Any questions? Yes.
Just to inform the community and the board, what I did is reached out to Congressman Maloney's office to do a proclamation for their event and also some sort of recognition for the 100th birthday of Ms. Matthews. They agreed to work on that and intend to have that delivered. So that's just an example of what can be done. And so I wouldn't be opposed if we had some sort of thing that we did as a town.
Yeah, because the mayor of Newburgh is giving something, of course, Assemblyman Skoufis, and then there's a whole other list of people, and there'll be some very special people in the building. So it would be nice if her own town and the residents of her own town would also consider doing something
When
similar.
you asked your question, I didn't know if you meant in general or specifically.
In general, it would is because you got I think there's like 2 more residents that are getting ready to hit 100 that are alive and well in the area too. So it's a good. This could be a precedent because you've got a couple of more people that are about to hit 100 in the next couple of years. So in general, and then also like so she can start the president. All right.
Thank you very
Tickets are
much.
required to attend this?
To the banquet.
Okay, thank
But to the wreath laying ceremony, no. The wreath laying ceremony is free and open to the public at 12 noon at the Buffalo Soldier Field. So there will be also some presentations or some things that are done at the wreath laying ceremony.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, approval of the previous minutes of the meeting on the 13th of August. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make the motion to approve the minutes.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carried. Communications, I have a letter from John Willis, who is a team captain for Day 6 of the 5th Annual Old Glory Relay, when our team of the Hudson Valley veterans and supporters will carry an American flag 55 miles on foot and bicycle from Saugerties to West Point, New York. What is the Old Glory Relay? As the sun rises on September the 11th, 2018, Team Red, White, and Blue will gather in Boston Harbor and unfurl the Old Glory for the 5th consecutive year. An epic journey will take that same flag through 24 states and 10,000 pairs of hands over 62 days as veterans and supporters work together to bring the American flag to San Diego on Veterans Day, November the 11th. For more information, you can go online to oldgloryrelay.org. And for our police department, the following day, they're going to come down from Saugerties down to Trophy Point at West Point. And then the following day, they're going to take the flag from West Point through the town of Highlands and south to the Bronx. They say that they don't need any help getting through, but you have been. All right, okay. I should have figured that. Okay, Al Fusco gave us his report, financial report. We paid out $53,434 for the current check run dated August the 20th. Big items were Royal Carding for sanitation, that's $2,025 for landfill charges. Cusco Heritage for sanitation fuel delivery, $2,468. Orange and Rockland Utilities, $4,229. Our attorney, $6,026 for multiple department legal services. Vision was paid $2,551 for the pavers at Patriot Garden. Rockland County Solid Waste, $12,049 for sanitation. That was for the period of July the 16th through the 31st. And the summer program paid West Point Tours $6,455 for various bus tours to the movies in New Windsor, to I think a splashdown. There was a number of different things that they all budgeted for, by the way. Now I have a number of budget transfers from grant revenue to police equipment, $3,591 to move grant revenue for bulletproof vests. I need a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve that.
I need a second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Parks, Buildings, and Grounds Personal Services to Parks, Buildings, and Grounds part-time employee. That's for the summer employee budgeted on the wrong budget line. That was $4,150. Motion to approve?
So move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Dog control equipment to dog control vehicle maintenance, $212. It was over budget due to a transmission repair. Motion to approve?
So move.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Unemployment insurance to liability insurance. Cyber insurance was not budgeted for, $750.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Supervisor training to town council training, $110. Town board was over on the training budget.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Supervisor training to town board contractual, $110. Other expenses, maps and mileage were not budgeted for.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So, police supplies to police postage, $50. Postage over budget.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Ambulance FICA to ambulance LoSAP, $3,000. LoSAP was higher than what we budgeted for.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ambulance supplies to ambulance vehicle maintenance, $875. Vehicle repairs were higher than budgeted for. Suspension, $2,000.
So move.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Insurance for the ambulance to ambulance vehicle maintenance, $1,969. Again, the same suspension repair, $2,000.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Sanitation equipment to sanitation vehicle maintenance, $10,000. Vehicle repairs were higher than budgeted. Truck 66 took $8,800 to repair.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Long Pond Personal Services to Long Pond Contractual, $1,670 to cover electrical work at Long Pond.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Long Pond Personal Services to Roe Park Pool Contractual, $1,971. That's to cover unexpected chlorine expense.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
Some of these will have to, the department says will have to remember to increase their line item.
I've reminded them of that as I had them come in and sign their budget transfers. They'd have to take a look for budget purposes for next year.
Okay, board liaison reports. We'll start out with Councilman Sullivan.
Good evening, everybody. So, I've been working on my four liaison budget items with the department heads. The water, I'm gonna meet with Pat Patterson on Wednesday morning. Sewer, I spent the whole day on. Kelly, I guess you couldn't open the attachment? I'll send it to you as a PDF, like in a few minutes, okay? So that's almost done. The building, it was a pleasure to work with Bruce on that. That one is done. And the zoning board of appeals, I didn't meet with Jack personally. We did it via email. I think that's all worked out. And later on, I see there's a discussion on increasing their escrow. So if somebody puts a deposit in and goes through the process and gets denied, I guess there's been a little bit of a problem with collecting past due fees. So I'm gonna recommend that we go along with his recommendation of raising it when we get to that.
Part of the issue there is that it's so quickly depleted. So we're asking for replenishments every 2 or 3 weeks. So it kind of, it's more like that. So that we're not always asking to replenish. If they take one bill and they're below their escrow.
And goes without saying, as with all chairmen of all that stuff, there's a responsibility to keep it so that it's responsibly affordable. I won't use that word. You're not bombarding applicants just for the sake of making money for the town. You're just trying to recover the review fees, which you try and keep reasonable. Did I say that right, Justin? Did I get in trouble?
Right on.
Okay, all right. In regard to the building department report for the month of July, there were 16 permit applications received, 11 permits issued, 10 certificates of compliance or occupancy were issued, 23 building permit inspections, 6 fire safety inspections, 53 advisory violation notices were issued, 14 municipal searches, 0 zoning variance applications were received, 0 planning board applications were received, 6 FOIL requests, 154 total number of physical inspections. When they have these violation notices, there's quite a process they go through to get the mailings out and all that, so they've been busy with that. And so that takes care of the building department. And with the sewer, you just heard Mr. Fusco here. I'm mildly nervous about the timeline of what's going on with this. He was a little bit nonchalant about it. I'm not quite as nonchalant. And when I go down on September 4th, I'll have a better knowledge of what we're discussing tonight. I'm gonna go down to the plant and meet with Bob probably on Wednesday. He's there on Wednesdays with the other guy. So I have a better understanding so that when we go down, and I'll talk to Justin to know just when I should shut up or talk when I go to this thing, okay? And that's it, thank you.
Councilman King.
Yes, good evening, everyone, and good evening, everyone at home. I don't have much this evening, but it's a couple things I want to address, and they both pertain to the seniors. The discussion earlier about recognizing folks who make their century mark for their birthday. I thought was good. And so that'd be something that I'm going to inquire about, because I don't really know, other than Ms. Cora, who else is getting ready to turn 100, but I'd like to. And the second thing is there's ongoing discussion about the senior coordinator. We still have some interest in the community because folks have reached out to me. And, so I know as a board, we're going to continue to discuss it until such time we make a decision. But I want the people at home to know that it's not one of those things that we're not addressing, that it is some serious discussion and proposals out on the table, and you should hear something very soon in terms of a decision.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Gunza?
Not much. I will sit down with the police department tomorrow on their budget, and we did the emergency management budget. And the planning board budget, we'll review that when the planning board chairman gets back into town. We will be hiring a police officer tonight, and the police department is doing a very good job. Keep up the good work, you guys.
Councilman Parry?
Just to let you know, I attended the village board meeting last Monday on August the 20th, and time was spent on the Old Pointers Echo Motel project. The hope, and I stress the hope, is that there will soon be some activity up there starting next week. But we've heard that before. I have met with the assessor, and in preparation for the budget, we're still looking at figures and have something to work on that. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mayor D'Onofrio asked me if I could put together a letter of support for the village's application for grant funding. The letter I put together, the town of Highlands is writing in support of the village's application for grant funding through the New York Water Infrastructure Improvement Act grant program to construct improvements at the water waste facility.
No.
Is that wrong?
No, I
The initials, water waste treatment facility, that
Waste-
will benefit the residents of the village and the Hudson River estuary. The proposed project will improve energy efficiency and continue to protect the Hudson River, to which the facility discharges treated flows. The improvements will also add flood resiliency protection against severe storms, hurricanes, and any future water level rise in the Hudson River. We are anticipating consolidation of services in the future, which may give the town outside the village access to treatment facilities at the village plant. Possibly one day in the future, the town's water waste treatment facility might serve as a pump station to the village plant. We strongly support the Village of Highland Falls' efforts to maintain and improve the wastewater treatment facility. The town of Highlands is hopeful that the village will be awarded grant funding, which will help reduce the significant cost to improve the facility. We hope that the village's grant application will be reviewed favorably, and I'll ask the town board for a motion to approve this letter.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carry. And I misspelled cost. I happen to see in today's record that the Palisades Parkway closures are expected. Beginning today, continuing through Tuesday of next week, weekday closures are expected on the northbound Palisades Parkway in the town of Highlands. When I read that, that aggravated me because the newspaper's telling me what's going on in my town. The closures will be between exit 19 and at Perkins Memorial Drive and the Bear Mountain Traffic Circle, while crews perform maintenance. The closures are expected to take place between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. on weekdays, weather permitting. No work is expected to take place on Monday of next week, which is Labor Day. As usual, motorists are advised to follow any posted detours and expect delays while work is in progress. Did you get notified on this at all, Chief?
Just highlight the email we got today, put it up on the board. So
Oh, okay.
That will not really affect us, because we don't control down that way, but we could get the residual.
I wrote up a little thing from what I'm calling my little corner of the world. At the corner of 9W and Firefighters Memorial Drive, I look at the flower triangle, and across the street, the flowered garden in front of the recently remodeled house on 9W. Both gardens are maintained by Neighbors Landscaping. The food market keeps a very nice flower patch and recently had the parking lot blacktopped. North of Ritchie's is an empty lot maintained by the owner, Peter Lamb. He maintains it very well. The Catholic chapel and grounds are historically old and maintained very well. South of my property is the town lot, clean and again well-maintained. Finally, across from me is an old camper trailer owned by a local resident, Chevy Wanamaker, on the property owned by former resident who now resides in Florida, David Scott. After 15-plus years, I think it's time for this eyesore to go. The town government does not have the power to make it happen. Can anyone help us? Now, I'm really amazed when I took a look at the flowers and how nice things look from my porch at the restaurant. It's just a nice section of town, it really is. And I eliminated from here, and not purposely, the old oak has done a nice improvement out in front. It looks friendly, it looks hometownish. He's got the umbrellas and the outside seating. You can't miss it with the lights he's got there, but it's really a nice looking place. He's done a good job down there. So that's what I have. Any comments on that? Okay.
Bob,
Yeah. Yes.
if I may.
Yes, ma'am.
Dave is my uncle.
Yes.
And Chevy had asked to park that there for a few days.
Okay.
Years ago. They would love for someone to come and tow it away, because they also have no way of getting rid of it. Just so that's no.
Yeah. No, and I agree with you, but I also believe that one of these companies that take junk would be very happy to take it.
They don't have a title. I looked into it for them.
There's got to be a way.
They've tried. So if anyone else knows, please.
Well, that's kind of what I'm appealing to. Okay, property maintenance violation resolution. Whereas the building inspector of the town has performed an inspection of the premises located at 90 Firefighters Memorial Drive, designated on the tax map of the town of Highlands as Section 16, Block 1, Lot 24, whereas the property owner has been given due notice in said violations and has been directed to correct the violations, whereas the property owners were given due notice of a public hearing to be held by the town board on 8/27/18 at 7 p.m. to determine whether the violations have been remedied and whether to order a corrective action taken by the town to correct said violations at the property owner's cost and expense, to bill said cost and expense to the property owner and to levy the same against the property. Whereas the public hearing was duly held by the town board on 8/27/18, whereas the owner did not appear, whereas the owner has not taken steps to correct the violations and the violations still exist, the town board is authorized pursuant to Section 141-1 of the property maintenance law to authorize that the town undertake to remedy such violations at the property owner's cost and expense. Now therefore be it resolved that the town or agents of the town will complete the cleanup and repairs and all expenses incurred by the town in connection with the proceedings, including A reasonable surcharge shall be assessed against the land and shall be levied and collected in the same manner as provided for levy and collection of real property taxes.
I think that suffices. You've got the message across.
I got it? That's all there is anyway.
Okay. I can summarize next time if it's easier as well, rather than making you read so much.
That's okay. I'll ask for a motion to, a roll call motion to move the resolution.
So move.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sullivan?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
Aye.
Councilmember Gunza?
Aye.
Councilmember Perry?
Aye.
Supervisor Lindsay?
Aye. Now, next on the agenda, speaking about that property in particular and other properties in general, we should not be, the town should not be the general contractor and maintenance supplier, or we should not be doing maintenance on properties over and over again. I know the village is having the same problem. They do have their attorney looking into putting together a resolution or a regulation to increase the fines, or the surcharge, I guess we would be calling, each time, each repetitive time. So I would hope that, Justin, you could look at this or connect with Elise,
Yeah, sure, I'd be
see what they have.
happy to take what Elise has done, but but it's a fairly simple amendment process. Again, you amended your property maintenance code, it's 2 or 3 years ago at this point, to put more teeth in it, and if that needs to be done again, and, right, 90 firefighters, I believe, has come up 3 years running.
Yes.
And so that's what you're speaking to, and rather,
And the reason
the town resources are consistently being used, so further penalty system's appropriate.
The reason I'm suggesting the getting together with the village attorney
Oh,
is that we're trying to get our codes together. And if we could come out with one code that covers both the town and the village, at least similar codes, it would be a good thing.
Makes a lot of sense.
I think that's a good idea also, but I would also say that I hope the suggested increase in fines are substantial enough to catch the offender's attention.
Yes, so here's the difficulty, just the brutal honesty of that, right, is, well, it's 3 years running, right, and it goes to the tax bills, right, and then it gets captured, right, and the same fundamental systems in place. I suppose you could have a system where you use a different branch of government and take up some of their time, right, and have them brought in before the justices and have fines imposed and potential sentences imposed. And that's fine. Ultimately, often these are people who are often not present any longer in their properties and won't come attend, and there may be some warrant against them or some fine that sits there, but the reality is often in these instances the tax bill is the most effective, because that's the last remedy. They don't want to lose their property. I'm not going to discourage it, because there are other systems where you have both options, and there might be options, but it would use some of your other town resources, right?
I think adding it to the tax roll, or the tax bill, is fine, but I don't think the same dollar amount should be applied each time, because then all the town is doing is providing maintenance for
Sure.
that dollar amount.
Sure, and the supervisor said the same thing, right? That right now we have a standard surcharge that is applied, and whether one option, right, is to increase that depending on the first violation, second violation, third violation, etc. And again, the other options, and you can have both within your law, right, to give you the opportunity to use whatever will be most effective under circumstances, right? And so straight fines that would be implemented by a justice, one of your judges.
As long as they're substantial.
Bob,
I hear you both.
Okay.
I'm going to ask a silly question. Is that house occupied now, 90 firefighters?
No, it is.
Okay. because I don't want to say the name publicly, that individual is deceased.
Yes,
So-
and he did not leave a will, and I'm assuming that the property value is probably not enough to make whoever might be in the estate go ahead and do whatever they have to do to get it. That's my assumption.
Are taxes being paid, or maybe I shouldn't ask that on camera, I'm not sure. It's just dormant in all ways, shapes, and forms?
I'm not sure about taxes.
So, timing-wise, right, I think I mentioned 3 years running, and I'm not actually positive, but that's my basic recollection. So if the county were pursuing a tax foreclosure, that process in and of itself usually takes 2 full cycles of taxes that go unpaid before they begin their process, which their process for in rem foreclosure matters for taxes takes another 12 months or so. So timing-wise, the county may have started their procedures. I don't know. And right when Mary Jane puts all those listings in the paper once a year, she runs down the local taxes that are going through the county process. You could check, or I could check, or timing-wise, it could very well be in that process, and that process might not yet be complete.
From the information I have, actually, I think the taxes have been paid.
In that case, it would just, start over each time, right?
In other words, the letter is finding its way to somebody. That's all I'm.
No, it gets returned,
Oh, is it?
yes.
Really? Okay.
It always gets returned.
Okay.
We can dig a little and try to find out.
I skipped 2 very important people in my reports. Does the controller have anything?
Oh, no,
No? She doesn't?
no.
Okay. And Chief,
Ready to start the budget.
do you have something for us?
Couple things, sir.
Excuse me for skipping over you, but
All right, sir. Good evening. I know you mentioned earlier about Mr. Wilson's email. We seem to get a lot of these emails for some of the things going on in the community, the 5Ks, the bike rides, and everyone we address. So even if they tell us they don't need patrol there, we have patrol there. I know they did the 5 and the 10K over 218. Patrol was there just to make sure traffic flowed well. So as soon as we get one of those, we address it, and we're happy to assist anywhere we can. Not to get into many details, but I know I spoke to you folks a little earlier about something happened last night, and the deputy chief and I, as the summer comes to end, couldn't be happy the way patrol performed. If it was a complaint about 9W speeders, patrol was out there. Someone in the community made a complaint or wanted extra patrol, we were there. So I think we're pretty much on the opinion that patrol really stepped up their game quite a bit this summer. We're very happy with them, wherever we needed them at. We are prepared for school opening next week, and we'll have a significant presence out there to slow traffic down as well. Wanted to thank Pat Patterson real quick. He cleaned up the parking lot for us, restriped. Looks very professional. He did a great job. We'll get ready as the weather turns. I know later on we'll talk about the police officer and the school crossing guard. But the one thing I'd like to mention is that we have 2 vehicles that we like to deem surplus. Those are the 2000 Ford Interceptor SUV and the 2011 Chevy Tahoe SUV. They're now at the highway garage. They have been replaced. Other than that, Chief, anything? I think everything's running smooth. Very happy with everything. We thank you very much for all the support for the police officer, the crossing guard, and as some of our folks move on to different adventures, we're very fortunate that we have other folks that want to come on and be part of the police department. So thank you.
Does anybody ever use the e-commerce parking spot that you have?
Sorry?
Does anybody ever park and use the?
No, sometimes we'll get a knock on the door, but nobody's actually came there, but it's there, so it's visible, and we try to always make sure, unless we're in transition, that both vehicles are farther up, so people know it's there. Anytime someone does come, they usually knock on the side door, ring the bell, but not much for commerce, more for information.
But for anybody watching, if they're doing a Craigslist transaction or something, there's a safe place for them to
Yes, sir.
do that there.
Though we're not always occupied, the camera's there, so yes, there is a safe place for them, and we monitor that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
thank you, Chief. I received a letter from the Town of Highlands Court. Apparently, they need our permission to buy chairs, even though the JCAP is paying for them. So they're requesting 4 office chairs at the total cost of $640, and they need our permission, and they need a resolution authorizing the court's application. So would anybody like to make a motion to authorize the court's JCAP resolution?
Also move.
No, I mean, if we need to memorialize it in writing, I can write it up, or June can write it up, but I mean...
Okay. So I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
If they need a resolution, do they need individual votes, or?
They really need from past, they just need the page in the minutes certified that has the motion in it.
Okay.
Excellent. Good.
Very good. See, that's an advantage of having an old-time town clerk. Okay, prior to this meeting, in executive session, the town board interviewed 5 applicants for the receiver of taxes. After due consideration, the town board would like to hire or appoint, or better appoint, Barbara Minetti as tax collector. Her term will be until the end of the year. She will be paid according to salary schedule. And that's about it. So I'll ask for a second to my motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I think we have one abstention.
Oh, yes, I'm abstaining. Yes.
Thank you. I've instructed by all the applicants, but I instructed Barbara that she needs to be here Wednesday afternoon and to plan on spending most of the afternoon getting things squared away.
Okay, very good.
Excuse me.
Now, next on the agenda is to set the salary for the temporary receiver of taxes. I just brought up the salary, which would be the remainder left of the $14,002 on the salary schedule. June, you have a motion to make on a crossing guard?
I'll make a motion that we hire Gary Wojciechowski as the school crossing guard pending approval of the Orange County Personnel Department with a starting salary of $11.50 an hour.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Senior Program Coordinator, I think we briefly discussed this downstairs, but I think if we bring it back up again next time, talk a little bit about it. Actually, we have some individuals, at least 3, that have asked to be appointed to the job. We have the center in Highland Falls, Ann Molina representing the center, make a suggestion on the center being the coordinator. So I think if we can just kind of talk it up with the Highlanders, seniors in general, and what's her name, Agnes Safari's committee, we'll have a little bit more information to come back and figure out what we're going to do. Meanwhile, Justin can look on his end if we should decide to have the center do it. We can have an idea how to do that. Is that okay? We'll just table this till next week?
Yes. So the discussion is whether the proposal made by the center to take the responsibilities for the senior coordinator's duties versus hiring a individual to do those will take place next meeting,
Yeah.
and then we'll make some decisions at that
So I'll
point.
ask for a motion to table the discussion on senior program coordinator.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That hazard mitigation plan update,
Yes, so I didn't get a chance to mention it again to your engineer, Mr. Fusco, but he indicated he had received the document from the county. I have not seen it, so I don't want you to act upon it. The proposed resolution itself was non-threatening, but it relies on an underlying document, and I just want to see what your obligations are under that document.
okay.
I'll reach back out to him. He did say he'd send it to me, or I can reach out to the county.
I'll ask for a motion to table multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan update resolution.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Question. Is that necessary to finish up with the grant money? Is
Which
that
grant
part
money?
of it? The sewer plant?
No, not tied into the sewer plan at all.
Okay.
No, this is the county's plan, hazard mitigation, and I don't know that they've spoken to the local coordinator or not, right? But they put a multi-jurisdictional plan in place. I don't know how often they're required to do that. And they seek the participation, well, countywide. Al sent a proposed resolution. Al didn't send the plan, so I don't know what any obligations you may have, whether monetary or people.
The plan is on the Orange County website.
Okay.
And the town of
I'll go there.
Highlands has a subsection there.
That's fine.
And we had an engineer participate in that, although it was not Mr. Fusco.
All fine. So what I had received was a one-page resolution from Al without the background. So he said he'd submit it. I'm happy to go online and take a look at it and just make sure. Obviously, if your people have worked on it and you're comfortable, that's fine. It's not how it came to my desk.
Right. It was,
Was there an email related to that a while back? A generator for here and the Walter sewer plant, or is that something different?
yes.
That would be
yes.
our specific plan, but this is the county plan,
Okay.
right?
Right, but those two things were in the plan. But what you're talking about, the letter of intent, is now just the generator because engineer Todd Atkinson did not wish to interfere with the sewer plant anyway, so he thought best that we withdraw the wall at this point.
I'm glad to hear that, because it sounds like we're going to be spending enough money as it is down there at the moment, so.
Okay, and in that resolution that Justin was speaking of, it says in there, we've reviewed the plan and all this stuff, and we haven't seen it. And I'm not going to ask anybody on the board to approve something they haven't at least seen. June, if you would send the website to the town board, they can go online. I think it's 90 pages or something, isn't it?
No, that was shared services, it's 90 pages, and I did forward that to the board.
Oh, okay.
But the hazard mitigation plan, if you just go on the county website, you'll follow the appropriate links till you get there.
Okay. Surplus equipment. I'd like to declare all of this equipment, vehicles, police units, as surplus, and the highway superintendent will put them on Auctions International, and Auctions International will come down and take pictures of all this various equipment and vehicles, put them on their site, and we'll go from there. I have a 1997 Ford F-350, which was the previous sanitation rack body, a 2004 Chevy Tahoe, previously the recreation vehicle, a Jeep Cherokee, which was previously an ambulance fly car. And by the way, I have the VIN numbers for all of this. An 8-foot used Myers plow, a 2.5-inch Husky trash pump, Husky trash pump. a 2013 Ford Explorer, which was previously a police vehicle, a 2011 Chevy Tahoe, previously a police vehicle, a 97 Ford F-350, previously sanitation rack body. We're talking the same one? Oh, I'm repeating myself here. But the ones I'm reading right now are the ones he wants to put on Auctions International. The 04 Chevy Tahoe, that was a recreation vehicle, the Jeep Cherokee, the ambulance fly car, the 8-foot used Myers plow, and the 2.5-inch Husky trash pump. Those are the ones he wants to put on the Auction International. So I'll ask for a motion to declare these vehicles and equipment surplus.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. June, you have a part-time police officer that we just interviewed.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we, as soon as I can find I'll make a motion that we hire Jason O'Keefe as a part-time Town of Highlands police officer with the starting salary and the maximum probation.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carried. Jason O'Keefe, welcome, even though he's not here right now. A nice gentleman. I was impressed by him. It's the first time I met him downstairs. What do you think about ZBA escrow deposit? We have a recommendation from the ZBA chairman to increase it to the escrow deposit the same as the planning board. Right now it's $750. He's suggesting $1,200, same as the planning board. And Justin, if we're going to do this, can we do it by simple motion?
You can do it by simple motion. Again, technically, this would apply to applications that come before you, the ZBA, on town properties. The village should do the same thing in the village. Again, because your fee schedules are part of your codes.
Okay.
But yes, simple motion is fine.
Any discussion?
So, how do I say this? I think there's a need for it. I also think that, it's chaired and manned by a very competent group of people just to keep the eye on attorney fees, because when you have different attorneys, and they can have their own attorney, and you have interaction when it becomes a ZBA matter that terminates and goes to planning board, I just don't want to see anything become a cash cow. And I think that's being monitored, and I think there's a need for an increase based upon what I know.
Anybody else? Richie?
I'll move it. I make the motion.
Did you say you had a question, or?
Nope.
No, he's making the motion.
I'm making a motion.
Oh, okay.
Move it.
Okay, I have a motion then to raise the escrow deposit on the ZBA to $1,200.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Joan, if you would, Justin, are you going to see the ZBA, or?
I don't. I can write the chairman a quick note. That's fine.
And suggest to the chairman that he notify the village.
Yep.
That they should do the same.
Okay.
Or he would recommend they do the same.
Correct.
The public risk group that we're a part of, was it Tokyo Marine, is that what it's called?
Yes.
Okay. They made a number of recommendations that we take care of. One of the recommendation is that we have an annual driving record review policy. So they gave us a few examples. I gave the examples to our attorney, and he came up with the policy. I think the town board has probably had it long enough to look at it and go over it. And And if you feel comfortable with the policy, then we can do a resolution to adopt it.
Sure, the only thing I'd say is the supervisor at a prior meeting had mentioned, and we tabled it a month ago or so, about, he had a couple concerns, right? Well, who's this applying to, right? So that was clarified, and that certain restrictions are valid and fine, right? As long as the employees are following license restrictions. Some are required to wear glasses. That would technically be a restriction. So the policy was amended to take those things into account and to give you all discretion to change it from sort of you must to you may based on the circumstances. I think it's a good policy that gives you control of how you want to implement any potential issues.
And for what it's worth, this was recommended back in January, and now this is the second request dated June the 5th. They gave us a due date of September the 5th, so we should adopt this tonight.
Can I ask a question? Who's going to check the driver's licenses?
I think it says in here that it's the employees.
I don't know that it assigned a specific person responsible for it within the town. I don't know who has MVR access. I know your police do. Does your clerk?
Highway superintendent has that program.
He has lens.
Thank you. Good thing it was called.
Again, so that this isn't misunderstood, right? This is the driving, first of all, doesn't apply to the unions who have their own policies. So this applies to town hall employees who drive a town vehicle as an essential part of their job responsibilities, right? So we're not talking about, I don't know who we're talking,
We're not
4 or 5
stepping into-
people, 6 people.
We're not stepping into union contract.
Well, we're not stepping into the contracts, and we're also not talking about a severe burden on whoever has to run the 6 motor vehicle license searches. Right, I just want scope of the task understood.
Okay.
Right, the controller doesn't drive a town-owned vehicle, right? So she's not falling under this policy. The town clerk doesn't, right? So it's a limited amount of people. That's all I'm trying to clarify.
So if we do this resolution, we'll at least satisfy them on their recommendations in time. Okay, and if there's anything more that needs to be done to it or changed, we most certainly can make
Sure,
a change.
it can easily be amended, right? I think it does what it needs to.
Okay.
So this is pertaining to non-union employees.
Correct. The unions have provisions on driving requirements.
Okay, whereas the town of Highlands employs people in various roles that require driving of town-owned vehicles. Whereas for the safety of the citizens and employees of the town is adopting a driving record review policy substantially in accordance with the policy attached hereto as Exhibit A. Whereas the town board believes that it is in the public interest to establish procedures for the review of such employees' driving records, and whereas the addition of driving record review policy constitute routine or continuing agency administration and management, not including new programs or a major reordering of priorities that may affect the environment, and accordingly is a Type 2 action under CEQA. Now therefore be resolved that the town board, Town of Highlands, does adopt an annual driving record review policy substantially in accordance with the policy attached hereto as Exhibit A. The resolution shall take place immediately. Have a motion to move the resolution?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sullivan?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
Aye.
Councilmember Gonzo?
Aye.
Councilmember Perry?
Aye.
Supervisor Lindsay?
Aye. Who's going to, Kelly, between you and June, who's taking care of this?
I have the letter from, they've been contacted.
Okay. In other business, We have in the past, the volunteer recognition sponsorship, we've taken care of that for our SVP volunteer recognition luncheon. It's going to be in October. Nonetheless, we usually sponsor with $150. That gives us recognition and allows one person to go, which doesn't have to be me, but I've been going in the past. So I'll ask for a motion to continue the gold sponsorship for our SVP.
Make the motion.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so carried. I'll give you this and you can send a check in. What else? That's it. That's all I got.
No, I don't know whether we need to make a motion or not. Excuse me. But our two chiefs will be attending an impact conference on 9/16 and 17, which means they will be out of the township with their vehicle and in need of lodging and expenses. So I would make the motion to approve their attendance at the impact conference.
Second. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Any public comment? No?
I just have one comment.
Yes, sir.
Tierney over there has 13 kids, and I saw them at the Dutchess County Fair. She won a ribbon. Congratulations on your goats.
Yeah, I saw that somewhere myself. Congratulations. Okay, that's all I got. Ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carried. Thank you all very much.